Hello and welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I try to talk to people from across the country about things we could do right here in your neighborhood. And today's my birthday. So I decided I want to do nothing. Yeah, we're not doing anything at all today. We're just going to sit here. We can't do that. It's my birthday, Ken. Oh, we have to do a show. Well, it looks like my bosses want me to do a show. So on this week's show, we got this.
Hey, are you okay? Are you okay?
All of that and more right here on New Mexico Rising. Do you ever scroll through social media marketplace and think you found the deal of a lifetime? Well, you know, those too good to be true moments can sometimes be costly scams. So today we are joined by best-selling financial author and host of the Webby-winning podcast, So Money. We have Farnoosh Tarobi, who's here to help us spot those red flags, protect ourselves and our wallets when buying or selling online. Welcome to the show, Farnoosh. How are you?
I'm great, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Okay, it kind of feels like everyone has a friend or someone that they know personally who has been scammed or even nearly scammed on social media. So what items or ways do you think scammers typically target the most?
Yes. Social media scams especially are on the rise. Based on JP Morgan Chase data, nearly half of scams reported to Chase by their customers originate on social media. A lot of times these scammers are asking for payments through Zelle or wire transfer. And one of the list of these scams is quite long. I mean, they're happening typically on social media marketplaces. They include listings for rental properties, home services, pets, event tickets. Scammers will usually post these listings with very low, like unbelievably low prices. And they'll also insist on very specific payment terms, like you have to pay, via Zelle or a wire transfer. And then you get sucked in, you never get the product. It turns out to be much different than you expected, even if you get it.
So what are some of those key red flags that we should look for? And what practical steps can we take to kind of avoid getting duped?
Yeah, they can be sometimes hard to detect, especially these days with the advance of technology. But I think if it's too good to be true, it sounds too good to be true. It probably is. We all want that deal, but I think it's important to go in with an abundance of caution. And if you do think it's too good to be true, walk away. The other thing is to just not be fooled into a false sense of urgency. A lot of times scammers will insist that we have to take immediate action. We have to pay in a certain way, like using digital payments. And so I just say, if it sounds a little too overwhelming or scary or urgent, those are all red flags. Take a minute, take a pause before you respond. You might even decide to delete or ignore it, just because you're better safe than sorry.
So when we're actually ready to make that purchase, how can we do it safely on social media marketplace?
I think it's important for consumers to know that how they pay is vital here, especially when they're trying to protect their money from scammers. So always opt for a payment method that comes with purchase protection, like a credit card. This is especially important when you're shopping on social media. On the other hand, Zelle, that's a better payment method for sending money, receiving money with people that you trust, people that you know, your friends, your family. A lot of times these scammers will insist on Zelle, they'll insist on wire transfers and gift card payments, but those don't come with purchase protection. So I would reserve Zelle for, again, family, friends, and people you trust, not strangers on social media.
So beyond making purchases, what other social media safety tips should we be keeping in mind to keep ourselves protected?
Well, if you ever have any unsolicited contacts, like people reach out to you, you don't know who they are, they're asking to friend you, they're asking to sell you something, I think you want to do some research there. You never, engage right away. And if it's someone that looks like someone reach out to them off social media. Maybe you send them a text message or an email and say, hey, did you reach out to me with this inquiry or this listing? I think doing that due diligence goes a long way. Going off social media to search for the name of the brand, the name of the seller, and the word fraud and the word reviews, and see what actually comes through. A lot of times when we're getting scammed or we've encountered a scam, we'll report it. We'll report it to the FTC. We might report it in a chat room somewhere. So it's really helpful to go off social media to do your due diligence. If the seller has a website or an email address, verify that as well. Look at the spelling of the email address. Is it correct? Does it look a little off? Does the website have all the important website information? It's a secure website. They have a phone number that works. Again, but do the search off the social media sites, because I think you'll actually find out more information there than you would on social media.
Farnoosh, and finally, where can we go for more information, resources to kind of educate ourselves, maybe help our friends, family, stay clear of these scams?
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there, good information. Education is power. Chase just launched a new free online resource with actionable steps and tips to spot and avoid scams on social. You can go to chase.com/don't get reeled in.
Farnoosh, thanks for joining me this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Have you ever heard about a form of brain cancer that often hits people in their 30s and 40s, right at the prime of their life? Well, there's a brand new FDA-approved therapy for a type of tumor called IDH mutant glioma that is a big deal because it's the first targeted treatment in decades. So today, we're joined by two special guests, Dr. Katie Peters, professor of neurology and neurosurgery at Duke Preston Robert Tisch Brain Tumor Center, and Rachel, who's been living with IDH mutant glioma. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Rachel, can you walk us through what led to your diagnosis and how you first noticed something that was kind of off?
Sure. I was at work actually, and I started having consistent deja vu. Like I'd been there before, done that before, hadn't at all. And then I went to the hospital and I forgot my name, I forgot where I was, I forgot my birth date. So after a series of MRIs and a series of work with a neurologist, they did diagnose me with a small brain tumor in my frontal lobe.
So how has your treatment journey shaped your day-to-day life, and what have you learned pretty much along the way?
So they put me on watch and wait, which was just sort of this sense of, we're going to see if something happens. Something did happen. So they put me on the Indigo trial, which was a triple-blind trial. So I didn't know if I was on the med or not on the med. My doctor didn't know. And after about 2 years, the tumor started to grow again. So they unblinded me. It turns out I was actually on the placebo. So they put me on Voranigo, which has been life-changing for me because I've gone 2.5 years with no tumor growth at all. So the beautiful thing about it is I'm just living my life. It's just a normal life.
Dr. Peters, can you explain what glioma is, and specifically what makes the IDH mutant glioma different?
So a glioma is essentially a primary brain tumor. That means it comes just from the brain. It didn't come from anywhere else. And just like you mentioned, it occurs in patients somewhere between the ages of 30s and 40s. And for any kind of cancer or tumor, there has to be something that makes it grow, that sort of turns it on. And we actually know what makes these gliomas grow for some patients, and that is that they harbor a mutation in a gene called isocitrate dehydrogenase, that's also known as IDH. And that's the kind of tumor that Rachel had, and that's also what is the target for the new drug Voranigo.
And I just heard that the FDA just approved a new treatment. Can you share what this approval means for those living with grade 2 IDH mutant glioma?
Yes, so the drug Voranigo was approved in August of 2024 after a pivotal phase 3 study where they looked at patients that had tumors that were visible on MRI imaging that had that IDH mutation. They received either Voranigo or placebo, and the patients that were receiving Voranigo had a much improved progression-free survival and also had a much longer time to next intervention. That means needing another surgery or having to go to radiation treatments or also even go to cytotoxic chemo. So because of those very positive results, the drug was FDA approved as the first targeted agent for adults with IDH mutant glioma.
So how important are molecular and genetic tests in figuring out the best treatment plans for people with glioma?
It's really the modern cutting edge thing to do for all patients that have any type of cancer. So it used to be we just looked under a microscope and sort of gave a name to the tumor and sort of would objectively, more subjectively say how aggressive it looks. But now we can actually take the tumor tissue, send it to a laboratory, and understand the entire genetics of the tumor. So this allows us to find targets to hit, such as Voranigo, to hit the IDH target.
And finally, where can people go if they want to learn more information?
They can check out the website voranigo.com to learn about the benefits and risks of the medication. It is an oral medication for patients with IDH mutant glioma. And they can also learn more about the pivotal clinical trial called Indigo.
Dr. Peters, Rachel, thank you too for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you noticed more people choosing to stay put at work? New research shows job satisfaction is on the rise for 2025. And today we have Michelle Reisdorf from Robert Half here to share why people are happier at work and how you can make the most of it. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Michelle, can you tell us what's new for job seekers in 2025?
Well, what we're finding, our survey results showed that 81% of job seekers are happy with their current roles. Less than a third of them are actually looking for new jobs. And the other thing that we found that really stood out was that they are looking for transparency, whether it be in salary ranges or job descriptions. It's important to them. So as an employer, it's really key to know all of these things.
And why do you think fewer people are looking for new jobs right now?
Well, over the course of the last couple of years coming out of the pandemic, I think a lot of candidates made job shifts. They found positions that were more competitive salary-wise, that offered more flexibility, whether it was hybrid or remote. And they found cultures that were really interesting to them. And so that satisfaction has helped them to say, this is the right job for me today, and I'm not quite looking.
And which factors matter most when it comes to loving your job?
The factors that we found in the survey are what we call the 3 C's, and that's competitive pay, culture, and career pathing. Career pathing is the new one that we were fascinated with, in that candidates today are not just applying for a role or a job. They really want an employer that can provide them with a career path for the next 3 to 5 years or longer. You know, we recently worked with a candidate who applied for a job that we thought was perfect, but it just wasn't clicking. She didn't take the role. And what we found after working with her a bit was that she was really looking for something that offered her long-term growth. And so by tweaking her search a little bit, we were able to find her the perfect role.
And how is AI changing the way that people look for work?
AI is new to both employees and employers. For employers, it's helping them find candidates more quickly. But for employees, it's just simply a tool to use in starting your job search process. What we tell candidates that's very important is to continue to customize and tailor that resume so that it's specific to you and makes it really stand out from the crowd when applying for that job.
And if someone wants a career change, what do you suggest they do first?
We say, we use an acronym called ACT, and that stands for assessing what they really want, whether it be a culture, more competitive pay, or a better fit in an overall role. C stands for cultivating their relationships and networking, but also cultivating their skills and making sure that they have the skills needed for the roles that they're applying for. And T, we recommend that they tailor that resume and their online presence so that, again, they really stand out from the crowd.
And where can viewers go to learn more information?
You can visit roberthalf.com, where you will see the many jobs that we have posted, as well as career tips for individuals. You can also connect with a recruiter at one of our many offices that will help you with positions, oftentimes positions that aren't even posted, which will give you a leg up on openings available.
Michelle, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
February is American Heart Month, and parents, in an emergency, could you save your child's life? Today, we have Mike Smith from the American Heart Association. He'll show us how to do CPR for adults and children so we can all feel more prepared. Mike, welcome.
Thank you, Abby. Appreciate the time today.
Why should every parent and caregiver learn CPR?
Absolutely. About 23,000 children experience an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest every year, and 20% of those are infants. So we want everybody to know CPR so that if there is an emergency, they feel confident and competent to act and help save that life. We know that bystander CPR can double or triple the chance of survival, but unfortunately, only about half the people that need CPR receive it. So we want to build this nation of lifesavers where everybody's trained, everybody feels confident to act in an emergency.
And what makes CPR for kids or infants different from CPR in adults?
Absolutely. Well, we have a hands-only CPR campaign for adults, which means if you see an adult or a teen suddenly collapse, call 911, send somebody to call 911, get an AED, automated external defibrillator, power it on, it will tell you everything to do, but you just do compressions. For children and infants, it's really important that they receive breaths along with the compressions. So we would do a ratio of 30 compressions to 2 breaths. If you're unable or unwilling to breathe into the child or infant, something is better than nothing. You can do hands-only CPR, but truly the children and infants need the breaths in addition to compressions. So you would do your 30 compressions and 2 breaths. And through the demonstration, I'll talk about rate and depth of how compressions go and all that as well.
And some people are really nervous about trying CPR. Can you show us some simple steps to make us all feel more comfortable?
Absolutely. Again, we want everybody confident and competent in their skills. So we have a child here that has collapsed. First thing we want to do is make sure the scene is safe to enter. And then we would tap and shout, see if they're responding. Hey, are you okay? Are you okay? No response, again, send somebody for help. You call 911, get an AED, automated external defibrillator. If nobody's around, I'll use my cell phone, put it on speakerphone, call 911, and the dispatcher can talk to me and give me some coaching along with the steps of CPR. But okay, we've activated 911. I'm just checking really quick, less than 10 seconds to see if the child is breathing. Child is not breathing. I need to start CPR. So this would be on a hard, flat surface, usually on the floor. And I'm going to compress down 2 inches 30 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I would then tilt the head back, pinch the nose so air doesn't escape, give a breath, watch chest rise, give a second breath, watch the chest rise, and go back to compression. So I would continue that 30 compressions and 2 breaths until help gets there. And that's why 911 activation is so important. Get professional help to you.
And where can our viewers go to learn more information or for training?
Absolutely. So I recommend that folks go to our website, heart.org/nation. That's our Nation of Lifesavers website. Not only do we have videos about hands-only CPR up there, but there's places you can have a place to find where your local classes are. You could plug in your zip code, find a training center near you to find where your CPR classes are locally.
Really important stuff. Mike, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
I appreciate the time. Thank you so much, Abby.
Singer-songwriter Eryn has been captivating audiences since she was 14, blending her Montana roots with formal vocal training to craft heartfelt folk and country tunes. Her honest, gritty approach resonates in every performance, and we're excited to learn more. Eryn, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, so you've been performing since your teens and you're classically trained. How do these dual influences shape your sound and stage presence?
I feel like being classically trained, it definitely helps with any sort of vocals that you feel you may want to find yourself singing. But I fell in love with a lot of the classical aspects and emotional aspects of Broadway and some opera and singing like that. But of course, really loved poetry and maybe writing my own songs. So I feel like being in maybe little small town roots and hearing certain singer songwriters, I felt like I had something to maybe put together there as far as music to voice to words.
And your lyrics, they often reflect personal experiences and in companies, Western roots. What role does storytelling play in your songwriting process?
It's pretty, I would say almost all of my songs are autobiographical. So it's very storytelling and almost in some aspect, it's going to be either a broad arc or, small things that I feel like we all can relate to just on a human level of writing. But I do, and of course, earlier when I was younger, I wrote a lot about heartbreak, and those things are easy to write about, but I, in my adulthood, have tried to write about the joys that you can experience as part of being human too. So, um, yeah, they're all going to have some sort of story aspect to them, but I wouldn't say that they're per se like story songs where there's a beginning and an end, but they are always going to be auto for now autobiographical, and I try and write something that's specific but not specific enough that others can't relate to it as well.
And from Firefly to Go Down Fighting, you've received multiple New Mexico Music Award nominations. What do you think connects with your audience the most?
I think the more vulnerable songs and moments and albums that I've shared with people are the ones that people connect with the most. Um, and I think for me as like a listener, that's what I connect with other artists, as well as things that are just really vulnerable, that are emotional and raw, that I can really feel and also feel like I've gone through. But that's, I would say, the tunes that I've had the most response from are definitely songs that I know others can relate to, and we've all been through those certain emotions. And I do love that people can relate to them that way, because that's what I find that I value in other artists' tunes. And so I mean that's why we write.
And you have a new music video that you just released. It's from your album. Can you tell us about the album and then tell us about this new music video?
Yeah, so Blush is the most recent album that I've released, and we released that in September. I am really I love all my albums equally, but I'm most proud of this project because all of these songs that are on Blush were written before all of my other three albums that have been released. So these are older songs that are definitely the most vulnerable group of songs that I have in my repertoire. But I guess when I wrote them years ago, I didn't give them much merit, and I thought that they were maybe too vulnerable, and I was maybe a little too scared to revisit them. And so within the last year or so, I rediscovered a lot of those songs, and there's a big collection of them, and really realized that they were excellent, and I wanted to uh, give them full production and to give them the life they deserved. And I think because I wrote all these songs before anyone really listened to me or knew who I was locally, or these were songs that were written out of like pure catharsis, and like I needed to write them. And so I think it being my most vulnerable body of work, I think so far it's gotten the best and most vocal response, and I'm the most proud of it, whether people like it or not. So I think that's another part of it too. But this video was was the first one we talked about releasing off of the album, because it's based on a true story, as you'll see from the from the video.
All right, let's introduce this. It's Valentine's Night. It's off of her album Blush. Let's take a look at it right now.
Tonight is Valentine's night, and I'm spending it alone. Soon I'll turn off the light, wait until the morning. These days I just slide by, try my best not to cry. Everything I see reminds me of you and the pain you put me through.
That's incredible work, Eryn. I want to thank you for sharing that with our show today. Can you tell our viewers where they can follow you on social media, maybe get your music, and maybe follow your upcoming tour schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find my music on every digital platform that is out there. You just put in Eryn Bent, ErynBent, and you can follow me. Eryn Bent Music is where you're going to want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and then that is my website as well.
Eryn Bent, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
That's it for New Mexico Rising. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, just email me. That's newmexicorising@gmail.com. And also follow us on YouTube. That is @NM Rising. And until next week, that was New Mexico Rising.